Welcome back to JVM Internals Crashcasts. I'm your host, Sheila, and today we're diving into an exciting topic, Project Amber and its language features. We're in the final season of our series, Beyond Expert, Advanced Topics, and Future Directions. And this is our third episode in the Future of the JVM chapter. Victor, are you ready to illuminate us on this fascinating project?
Absolutely, Sheila. I'm excited to discuss Project Amber and its potential to reshape the Java language. Before we dive in, listeners should be familiar with basic Java syntax and have some experience with recent Java versions, say Java 8 or later.
Great point, Victor. For today's episode, we'll be covering the origins of Project Amber, its main goals, key language features it introduces, and how these features impact Java development. But before we start, I have a quiz question for our listeners. Which Project Amber feature allows developers to use the var keyword for local variable type inference?
Ooh, that's a tricky one, Sheila. It's a feature that's been quite popular in other languages, and it's interesting to see how Java has approached it. I'm curious to see how many of our listeners are already familiar with this feature or have used something similar in other languages. It's definitely changed the way many developers write Java code.
Indeed, Victor. Now let's start with the basics. Can you give us an overview of what Project Amber is and why it was created?
Certainly. Project Amber is an open JDK project focused on smaller, productivity-oriented Java language features. It was created to explore and incubate smaller, lightweight language features that can improve developer productivity and code readability. The goal is to make Java more expressive and reduce verbosity without compromising its core principles of readability and maintainability.
That sounds really interesting. So, it's like giving Java a bit of a makeover to keep up with modern programming trends.
That's a great way to put it, Sheila. It's like Java is getting a wardrobe update to stay fashionable in the programming world. But just like how you wouldn't completely change your personal style, Java is keeping its core identity while adopting some new, trendy features.
I love that analogy. Now, can you tell us about some of the key features that Project Amber has introduced or is working on?
Absolutely. Some of the major features include local variable type inference, using var, switch expressions, text blocks, pattern matching for instance of, and records. Each of these features aims to make Java code more concise and expressive.
Wow, that's quite a list. Let's focus on one of these features. Can you explain how local variable type inference works and why it's useful?
Sure thing. Local variable type inference, introduced in Java 10, allows developers to use the var keyword instead of explicitly stating the type when declaring local variables. Imagine you're writing a shopping list. Instead of writing fruit apples, you could just write apples, and it's clear from context that it's a fruit. That's similar to how var works. The compiler figures out the type based on what you're assigning to the variable.
I see. So it's like the compiler is doing some of the work for us. But doesn't this make the code less clear? How do we know what type A variable is if it's not explicitly stated?
That's a great question, Sheila. While it might seem less clear at first glance, the idea is that the type should be obvious from the context. Most modern development tools can easily show the inferred type, and good variable naming can also help. However, you're right to be cautious. Overuse of var can indeed make code less readable. It's best used when the type is obvious, or when spelling out the type would make the code unnecessarily wordy.
That makes sense. It seems like a powerful feature that requires some judgment to use effectively. Now, you mentioned switch expressions earlier. How do these differ from traditional switch statements?
Switch expressions, introduced in Java 14, are a more compact and safer way to write switch constructs. They allow switch to be used as an expression, returning a value, and they introduce a new form of case labels with arrow syntax. This eliminates the need for break statements and reduces the risk of accidentally falling through to the next case. They're particularly useful when you need to assign a value based on multiple conditions.
That sounds really useful. Can you give us a quick example of how this might be used in everyday coding?
Certainly. Let's say we're writing a program that converts a day of the week to its number. With a switch expression, we could easily assign the day number based on the day name. It's like having a more sophisticated version of those day-of-the-week pill organizers. You look at the day name and immediately know which number compartment to use.
That does sound cleaner and more intuitive. It reminds me a bit of pattern matching in functional languages. Speaking of which, I've heard that Project Amber is also working on pattern matching. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Pattern matching is a big focus for Project Amber. It started with pattern matching, for instance, in Java 16, which allows you to test and cast an object in a single step. It's like being able to ask, is this a fruit? And if so, is it an apple? All in one go. This eliminates the need for an explicit cast, making the code cleaner and less error-prone. Future plans include extending pattern matching to switch statements and expressions, which will make it even more powerful.
That's fascinating. It seems like these features are really changing the way we write Java code. How do you think this will impact Java development in the long run?
Great question, Sheila. These features are indeed transforming Java development. They're making the language more expressive and reducing boilerplate code, which can lead to increased productivity and potentially fewer bugs. However, it's important to note that with great power comes great responsibility. Developers need to use these features judiciously to maintain code readability and not overcomplicate things.
That's a great point, Victor. It sounds like there's a balance to strike between using these new features and maintaining clear, understandable code. Now, before we wrap up, let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The feature that allows developers to use the var keyword for local variable type inference is indeed local variable type inference, introduced in Java 10.
Exactly right, Sheila. And it's a great example of how Project Amber is bringing modern language features to Java while maintaining its core principles.
Thank you, Victor, for this illuminating discussion on Project Amber. To summarize, we've learned that Project Amber is an open JDK initiative focused on smaller, productivity-oriented Java language features. We've explored features like local variable type inference, switch expressions, and pattern matching, all of which aim to make Java more expressive and reduce verbosity. These features are changing the way we write Java code, but it's crucial to use them judiciously to maintain code clarity.
Absolutely, Sheila. It's an exciting time for Java developers, and I can't wait to see how these features evolve and impact the Java ecosystem in the coming years.
Indeed. In our next and final episode of this chapter, we'll be discussing JVM in the age of microservices and cloud-native applications. It promises to be an exciting conclusion to our series. Don't forget to subscribe to JVM Internals Crashcasts and leave us a rating if you've enjoyed this episode. Until next time, happy coding!